What's up, world? Welcome to the Goodfellas. This week I had on a very special guest. His name is Logan Jason Piette. Um, what he had to say is really important. I think everybody can benefit from it. And just a knowledgeable dude. All in all, a cool cat. Like I said, very important things he had to say, so I would advise you to go ahead and watch it. Um, His area of expertise is very broad, so I'm just going to sum that up by saying he's a metaphysician, he's a nutrition expert, and he's a matrix decoder. Sounds interesting, right? So, yeah, go ahead and watch it. You don't want to miss out, all right? Peace. Have fun.
So we're all in?
Yes, sir.
All right. Logan,
Yes, sir.
thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you
Yeah, my
coming on and
pleasure.
taking the time.
My
So
pleasure, man. It's an honor.
we also have a very good friend of mine joining from New York, Plattsburgh, New York, Danny B.
What's up? What's up, man? How's everything?
Nice. Look at this guy with him. He's got the microphone set up. He's all good right there.
Yeah, man.
He's a
I,
I
pro.
like the professional.
I'm
Yeah,
trying, man. I'm trying.
All
that's
right,
awesome.
so do we want to dive right in?
Yeah, man. Dive right in. Ask away, man.
All right, so you're a metaphysician. Can you tell us
Metaphysician.
what does a metaphysician do? What is a
Meta-
metaphysician and what does a metaphysician do? Let's start.
yeah, yeah. That's a good starting question. Well, a metaphysician is someone that, obviously if you're talking about doctor or physician, we're talking about the metaphysical world. So it's somebody that heals or helps people heal themselves through the metaphysical, through the what I like to call the mystical arts, which would include astrology, numerology, human design, cards of illumination, the tarot, the animal tarot, the Mayan astrology, the Vedic astrology. Any of these layers you can observe yourself from, and it's kind of like peeling back the onion. And each layer, using these platforms, allows you to understand who you are at the highest degree, which allows you to heal because we hold on to a lot of things that just are not necessary in our lives, and then you get personal development that comes into play. So there are those layers you can add in as well. And that's pretty much what a metaphysician is. That kind of sums it up for you.
All right, so if I was to come to you as a patient, um, how can you heal me? I mean, like, is it physical? Is it psychological?
Well, it's all going to be mental,
Mental?
psychological.
Okay.
Exactly. See, the problem with today's society is the majority of the population have no idea why they're here. They have no idea why they were born. They have no idea why they're living out their life. They have no idea what their journey is, what their adventure is, what they're designed to do. They have ideas of that. I mean, I could sit down with 100 random people and I could ask them in 1 minute or less, why don't you tell me about yourself? And you'll get the typical, well, I'm a good person. I'm a loving dad. I love my kids, all this, surface stuff, but that's not truly who you are and why you're here. So the problem with people today is they don't have any accurate knowledge of their true power, which would get you to an elite status. And the people that rule this world, they know exactly who they are and what their positions are. That's why they use astrology. That's why they use numerology, because they know that these layers that they're a part of give them certain power. I mean, every time that we speak, I'm speaking to you right now and I'm
Hmm.
casting spells. Okay.
Right.
That's why,
Right.
they say, how do you spell your name? What's the spelling of your name? Because as I speak using my throat chakra, I'm giving you energy and you either accept or reject that. If you accept something, which obviously we're in a time of dire straits right now because most people are accepting this whole corona story, right? And
Hmm.
then they accept that, they download it, and they when they accept that belief, it ends up becoming a part of their reality, and it strengthens the story as a whole.
Hmm. So that's
Okay,
magic, right?
it's all magic, dude. Everything that's what they're using. Though I say they, it's the people that are temporarily running the world. They use magic all the time. They use it through symbolism. They use it through music. They use it through movies. They use
Mm.
it through all the news and the mainstream media. So anytime they say something, You either are going to accept or reject that. If you accept it as your truth, you give that power of their magic spell that originated with their agenda that's attached to that. And that's how that works. So when you actually break it down on an individual basis for yourself, understanding who you are, you can detach yourself from their matrix that they've created, and then you can figure out where you fit in and raise yourself to your highest power. And of course, there is the aspect of your childhood and, how you were programmed as a kid. A lot of the layers that we hold on to are not even necessary. If some kid gets raped when they're a young kid, it's very debilitating. It's a very gnarly thing to hold on to. And unless you do the work to get rid of that belief that you hold on to will literally give you a major crux in your entire life. You will hold on to that, and you will have to work your way around life using that as a piece of who you are. And that's why it's important to go through personal development, go to a metaphysician, go to a healer. That's why shamanism and, that's why, like, I don't know if you guys wear stones, but wearing stones and, wearing gemstones and all that kind of stuff, those are important because they're energy and they help us. There you go, brother. You see? So you're on track. All these are tools to articulate and bring yourself back to who you really are and why you're here. And that's really important.
But how do we tap into the powers of metaphysics?
Well, you need to understand who you are, and you need to do that through these layers that are available to you in the mystical art platform. Mystical arts, again, is astrology, numerology. There's what's called human design. There's psychology with the personality types, the briggs-meyers. Those have great significance as well. There's 16 personalities with that. So there's I'm doing a video tonight, and I'm going to be doing it on how to decode yourself. And I'm going to be showing people using 10 different layers in the mystical arts, not just one or two, 10. And you have all these professionals out there, and they usually focus on one, like I'm an astrologist, or I'm a numerologist, or I do human design, or I'm into the personality types. But when you take all of these and you bring them into one nucleus, you have a very, very powerful system to observe yourself from. And then that's when you put the cape on. That's when you put the mask on, because then you understand really why you're here. And then you can eliminate all the crap that you've brought into your belief systems, and you can let it melt away, because that's really what brings you down. Like when you accept something as a belief, it attaches to you and it weighs you down, because we're just light bodies, like human. The word human, you can spell it H-U-E, as in light, human. So we're light beings, okay? We accept light through our pupils. And when that light goes in, all the beliefs go in there, and we get weighed down from our beliefs, So think of it like if you start eating a lot of food and it's not good food, it's going to weigh you down. It's going to make you decay really quickly in a faster mannerism, which comes with disease and sickness and toxicity and poisoning and all that kind of stuff. That's why, like, people that are getting sick with the corona, the majority of them, there are exceptions, they're not healthy people. They have a lot of things that are weighing them down. But if your immune system is sky high, if you're taking care of yourself, if you don't have a lot of toxins floating around, both mental and physical, well, then the chances of you surviving any of these so-called viruses, whether they're man-made or not, is going to definitely be at a higher percentage for you. So it's a matter of, how much detoxing have you done? Have you been on a detox? Have you juiced for a couple of days? Have you not eaten for a couple of days? Do you fast? Because every time you eat, man, the engine of the body has to run. It has to run. It has to run. So you put miles on the organs in the body. Every time you put something in your mouth, the kidneys, the liver, everything has to move, which is like putting miles on a car. The engine. I mean, when you buy a used car, you always want to look for the one that has the lowest amount of miles on it, right? Well, it's the same thing. If you're out there, like anybody listening to this podcast, if you're single right now and you want to go find a partner, and you know exactly what you're going to get through the mystical arts, like their astrology sign, their personality type, what their human design is, what their tarot is, what they're tied to. Well, then pretty much exactly what you're going to get when you start dating that person, which gives you an advantage, because then you're like, well, I don't really like Capricorns. Or I don't know if I want to deal with a Capricorn. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it makes and then of course, how many miles do these people have on their lives? Do you want to date somebody? You want to start dating somebody who, has been in 20 relationships? Do you want to be the 21st relationship? There's a
Hmm.
pattern there that I'm kind of leery about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of these are very important layers to observe from on a metaphysical level, which it really starts there, by the way. It starts in the metaphysical or the mental realm, and then it moves into the physical.
Hmm. How,
Yeah.
how important is visualization and keeping a positive thought? Because you talked about that in one of your YouTube videos. Can you touch upon that right quick?
Yeah. Great question. There was a period of time when I went through a lot of that personal development. One of the great authors, she's dead now. Her name is Louise Hay, Hay, and she has a book called "You Can Heal Your Life." Very, very amazing book. And she was the lady who really introduced what was called mirror work, where you grab a little mirror and you stand in front of it and you talk to yourself and you do your affirmations, and
Hmm.
you do your statements and you look in your eyes, because the eyes, as they say, are the windows to the soul. So if you want to go ahead and reprogram yourself, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. you
And that's the
know
whole thing about it, right?
that's
Reprogramming
all.
yourself. Hmm.
Reprogramming, rebranding, taking control of your life, detoxing the body. Because,
Hmm.
that little voice in your head that never shuts up, the one I'm talking about, the one
Yeah.
that's talking right now in your head as I'm talking,
Right.
that one.
Right.
That one's never going to get shut off. It will never be shut off. So if you can't shut that off, you better start telling it what to do.
Hmm.
And most people don't do that. They just are so programmed to accept what the news tells them. They're so programmed to accept what they read online. They're so programmed to listen to their friend give them advice on how they should run their life. Like, oh, you shouldn't do that. I would never do that. Well, who the hell asked you, number one? And number
Hmm.
two, you don't live in my shoes. So why would I take your suggestion when you don't live through my personal life? So it's really important, yes, to do the affirmations. If you're on a quest right now to really clean up and detox your life, that would be one of the very first things that you should do is get Louise Hay's book, start doing your mirror work, or start doing your affirmations, writing them down on a piece of paper. There's a lot of rituals you can do. You can write down what you don't want. You can burn it. There's a lot of things that you can do that really work, in our matrix reality. You just got to start to discover those and then have an interest for it. Because as they say, knock on the door and the things will be open to you. So it's just a
Okay.
matter of that.
So are we just programming ourselves, or are we sending out thoughts in the ether that manifests later? What exactly is it we're doing?
Yep, very good question. You are always programming yourself, and you're also programming those around you in your circle, you know
Hmm.
and every time you think something, yes, it goes out into the what's called the collective consciousness. So imagine that every thought that every single human being is thinking at this very moment goes out into what's called the ionosphere, which is kind of the top of the magnetosphere, and they collect collective consciousness, and then of course they get redistributed. That's why mass meditation, people come together. That's why I don't know, maybe you guys have seen them, but they're on YouTube, on social media, where people are sending out these messages, join us for a mass meditation. Have you guys seen those?
Hmm.
Where
I
people just come in, they go at a certain time, and then everybody sits there and meditates on the same kind of idea. And that really works. It's proven. It's been proven to work, because when people come together as a whole and they think about the same thing, well, then it collects and it goes out into the universe, and then it has its impact. It makes a wave, a ripple, like throwing a stone into a pond and then it ripples out. You know,
Hmm.
that's exactly what a collective consciousness does. You as an individual, you do that all the time, 24/7, with that voice in your head that never shuts up.
Right.
You're
Right.
constantly sending out waves into the. That's all we are. We are human beings, but we're machine making people. I mean, we are machines, really. We're just computers, in physical form. Our brains are just supercomputers. So it's constantly feeding the mother computer, which whatever that is in your mind.
Hmm.
Everybody's going to have their own interpretation of that. All you have to do is understand how a computer works, because that's exactly what we're living in. We're living in a big computer, a big battery, you know, and our whole job is to get to the next level. You know, it's like, have you guys ever played the game Super Mario Brothers from Nintendo back in the day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you beaten the game before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. You sit down. I remember playing that thing. Game over, start over. Game over, start over. And you just keep going and you binge that sucker. And then finally one day you beat it. But the thing is that the ending is the same for everybody. Like the main demon that you have to beat or whatever it was. I think it was a dragon at the end or something. But everybody gets to that point and then you got to defeat that guy to win the game. Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly how our life is as well. We don't really know what the ending point is because no one's ever been there to come back and tell us that's exactly how it works. But it's very logical to understand is you want to have your best experience, use your most almighty tools to go through life and have the greatest experience. Most people are having the worst experience of their life because they're stuck at a job they're not supposed to be at, that they're not even made for. They're not even living their true passion. They hate their life. They get resentful towards other people because they hate their life. They're blaming other people because they're not happy. So it's like that's what's going on in our world. And that's why there's a lot of dissonance in the world because nobody knows who they are and why they're here and what their power is. You know, I say we're all superheroes. You don't have to shoot laser beams out of your hands or you ain't got to do any of that kind of stuff to be a superhero. But you got to use your intellect. And most people don't most people don't even use their common sense anymore. You guys know that. I mean, you look at what's going on right now. No one's using their common sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Danny, you had a question?
Yeah. So with all of this, with what you said about living and the ether and kind of like, I would say like putting things into existence, speaking things and kind of living your true self. Based on that, after this life is over, from what you've seen and what you've learned over the years, do you think that there is something beyond what we're part of now?
Yeah, good question. Absolutely. There wouldn't be any other logical explanation for it. You know, there's no religion or theology or anything based like that can prove their theory is correct. Mm-hmm. It's just an opinion, right? I mean, I got people that they're devout to their religion. That's great.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very possible that we're all creating our own reality through our belief systems. Like we're all creating these fractals. If you've ever seen the movie Back to the Future, Doc Brown talks about creating alternate timelines. Mm-hmm. And that's a very good possibility that's exactly what each and every single one of us is doing, is we're creating our own timeline and we will actually get what we believe when our time is up, you know? Mm-hmm. But the point is that there's nobody that can prove it. Mm-hmm. So the only other logical explanation is to have the greatest experience that we can possibly have here on Earth and while we're here. And that would include, you know, obviously that's why I'm a nutritionist as well, because it sucks if you're not healthy and living through life. Yeah. You know, over half of America's on prescription drugs. Over 50% of the United States is on prescription drugs. Yeah. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. You know, that's terrible, man. And, you know, you take those prescription drugs away from those people, which is a very good possibility that's coming down the pike. You can imagine how many crazy people are going to start to enter the world once we get off of this lockdown. Right. You know, so it's you got to not only detox the mind, but you got to detox the body from a physical standpoint, which is where nutrition comes in. So all these things that I'm talking about, they all come together and they're all necessary to have the greatest experience while you're here on Earth, because no one can prove jack shit on what it is that we do at the end of this cycle. Nobody can prove it. Yeah. So you might as well just be a good person, you know, live from your heart, be service to others, not service to self or service to Satan, service to others as best as you can, and then do what you really feel is your destiny. And that comes from understanding who you are through that metaphysical aspect, through all those layers of, you know, your astrology sign, your rising sign, your life path, your human design, all these that I love. You bring them all together and then you make a decision collectively in your mind on exactly how you would best be the happiest in your life. Because, dude, if you're a miserable person, you're not going to be any good to this world. Right. Yeah. know what I mean? Like you need to be living out your passion to really not only wake up every day and say, man, I love my life.
Why
You
do
know,
you
instead of committing suicide, people go to work. You know?
why
And
do
that's
you
the way it is.
why do you think that this isn't why do you think that more people don't teach like their kids like this?
Programming.
Yeah, they
Very,
don't
very
know.
simple programming. You know, the school system is a big fraud, if you ask me. I mean, you know, yeah, you get the
Yeah.
general consensus of what's going on in this world, but it's a big fraud, especially the college system. I mean, you know, look, anybody that comes out of college, they're pretty much in debt over 100 grand with student loans, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to a job interview and you sit down with whoever's doing that, and they know they got you by the nuts because they're like, okay, if I hire this person, that's job security. You got 100 grand you got to pay back. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's just a big sham, man. The job system, I think it's just a big fraud. Really, what needs to be done is, and it's happening now because we're now in the age of information, right? There's nothing you can't find online now within seconds.
Right.
20 years ago, if you're driving in the car with some friends and you're like, hey, who sang that song? You ain't got no cell phone to reach in your pocket to figure out who sang that song. You got to wait till you get home and look it up, right?
Right.
You don't have, everything's instant now. So there's no more excuses of saying, well, I don't know. Ignorance is not something you can use anymore as a scapegoat. It's just not.
You got to be a seeker, though. You know, me and you, Danny, we're just scratching on the surface. This is not common knowledge. We're just average Joes in this game.
Yeah.
But we're willing to dive in, and that's the difference. You know. So let's talk a little bit about numerology. Where did it originate from, and how is it being used? Because if you look at religious scriptures, you have numbers in there. Numbers are everywhere. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Numerology is one of my favorite topics. You know, as my friend John Petrie would say, he said that the universe can exist without numbers, but numbers can exist without the universe, but universe can't exist without numbers. So everything can be measured. Everything can be measured and broken down through numbers, which is why numerology is so beautiful. Each and every one of us has a name, and those letters are associated with numbers. And you can bring those together and add them up, and then it gives an outcome of specific numbers. So numerology has been around for probably longer than astrology. You know, it's been around for thousands and thousands of years, according to what history tells us, right? But even if it was brand new, even if it was just 100 years old, it doesn't matter because it's extremely accurate. And if you guys, you know, I'll be more than happy to give you guys your life paths on, you know, besides this podcast, but you have your life path, which is your soul contract. That's your entire birthday added up. Okay. That's separate from your ego. You're not what you're here to do, to create and to build here on earth. I'm talking about what your soul is connected to. Like a lot of people say, I'm connected to angels, my silver lining, you know, your cheerleader above that you can't see. That's your soul contract. That's something that you are supposed to be living out. That's your real true purpose from a non-egotistical standpoint. And then you have your name. You have your first name, you have your first and middle name, and then you have your first, middle, and last. And you can observe all of those in different mannerisms. Your first name is the most predominant because that's exactly what most people refer to you as. Nobody's going to call you by your first, middle, and last name. It's not typical to do that. Your last name is something that you inherited. So it's something that your mother and father had no part of. It's like you're in your lineage. But if you just really study your last name from a numerology standpoint, you'll be able to kind of figure out exactly where you come from, who you're attached to.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I'll give you a really good example of numbers. The number 23. That's a very big number. You may have seen the movie with Jim Carrey, the number 23. Okay. There's a very good reason why they use that number. There's a very good reason why Michael Jordan wore the number 23 in basketball, and the same reason why LeBron James for the Lakers wears the number 23. Because the word crown in numerology equals the number 23. Okay. So those guys right there, they work for the crown. They entertain the crown, and they're designed to keep you busy so that way you don't really do what we're doing right here. Because you see, and I say they, the crown, the ones that temporarily run the world, They don't want you finding out your true power, because then you'd wake up and you'd snap out of your little, your little fabricated life that they've designed for you, which is all coming to an end, by the way. Obviously, we're right now in a time of unprecedented situations going on right now. And right now, people are seeking the truth. They understand that the news is, the mainstream news, they lie a lot. They like to lie a lot. They like to speak their spells.
Right.
They try to hypnotize you with the TV and their spells, but it's not working as much anymore. So they're losing their control. The crown is losing their control. So crown is 23. It's all related to, and I believe that, and this is pretty, I'll say this because I'm pretty raw in what I say, but if you believe in theology and the story in the Bible about the Nephilim, the fallen angels that come down from heaven, okay? Well, I believe it's very possible that those that are these great athletes that are, 6'5", 6'9", that weigh 300-400 pounds, super muscular, it's very possible that those guys are the fallen angels, and they're like the superheroes, because dude, you go play one-on-one with LeBron James, you'll probably never score a basket. You know what I mean? I don't care about it, but you know what I'm saying. So like these people are super athletes, like they're they are truly living out their exact destiny, right? Because they love playing the game, they're really good at it. So it's very possible that these guys are really the fallen angels or part of that. And the reason why they work for the crown. That's why you go. We know sports is rigged, man. All pro sports at the highest levels, it's all rigged. It's all fixed. You guys may have seen some stuff online. It's becoming popular. Sport outcomes. People are predicting them now more and more. And it's also very possible that the movie Back to the Future, which has the guy Biff Tannen take the sports almanac and go back into the past, giving it to his younger self, and it's 50 years worth of predicting sports. It's possible that is very true. As crazy as and science fiction as that sounds, and that has to all do with numbers. Because time travel, if it really does exist, it would not be possible unless you do a mathematical equation. To use math to build the time machine, to figure out the portals. Everything's all designed around math. So numerology is extremely important. And the people that rule this world, they know that. And they use it. They use it.
Let's talk about magic a little more. I think we've been deceived when it comes to magic, because magic is not what we see in movies, right? Like with Harry Potter flying through the air and all that stuff. You touched up on it a little bit. It's about speaking spells and writing, and people in like judges and lawyers, right? Am I correct?
Yep. It's all about spells. Everything. We're all magicians. You guys are both magicians. I'm a magician. Every time you speak, magic comes out of your mouth. Not everybody's going to accept what you say, right? But when there's a thing in psychology called a self-fulfilling prophecy. And what that is if I have an idea that no one's ever thought of, and then I share it with you, and you accept it, and you're like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Let's just use it. Let's use like a business, like let's use Uber, right? What an amazing idea. Hey, let's just start our own little taxi company, and we'll just hire, all these people off the streets, and they'll have their cars. And what an amazing idea. That started with one idea, and then they shared it, and then now it's a conglomerate, right? But it all starts with magic. The magic is the idea is the starting point, and then they blasted their magic through. Marketing as magic, advertising, billboards, movies, television programs. All of that is magic, and it all involves speaking the spells, and then of course using symbolism, because when you stare at a symbol, you give it energy. And a lot of these symbols that they use, no one knows what they mean, but when you look at it, whether you know it or not, you're giving that symbol energy, and it makes it grow. That's why this coronavirus is so massive right now, because every freaking body's talking about it. Stop talking about it, man, and it will diminish really quickly. But no one wants to do that, because everybody wants to focus on the negative. Everybody wants to sling their dark magic. There's black magic and there's white magic. Black magic would be something like, I hate you, or you're an asshole. That's black magic. White magic is I love you, or you're amazing, or that's the really loving stuff is all white magic. And that's what this world is really not predominantly set up in, because most people are good, as we all know. Mm-hmm. But why do we focus on the news? The news is mostly all negative. Why do we eat foods that really are not good for us? I mean, if you set a table and brought 100 people in there and there was steamed vegetables or pizza, what do you think the food is that's going to get eaten first? It's going to be the pizza, man. So, and which one's good for you and which one's not good for you? The pizza obviously is something that's probably not good for you when you compare the two. People are drawn towards the service to self, the breakdown of the world. We are parasites.
But why are we drawn to the negative?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe because we're negative in nature, and we're just, like attracts like,
Right.
But when you truly find who you are and you understand yourself from the levels that I'm talking about, that's what ascension's all about. Because, the kingdom, as theology you want to talk about, that says the kingdom of God is within you. It's not somewhere outside. It's not a fictional place you go to. It's inside of you. So it's an individual journey. Because what I say may not be something that you'll agree with. Again, self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have you have this coronavirus, and they knew that, I say because we all know we all know it was all man-made and constructed, part of the agenda and all that stuff. That's not a secret anymore. They knew that they could use it, and whether it's real or not is besides the point, because everybody that's talked about it and is scared and is in fear and going out and buying a million different rolls of toilet paper and buying tons of food. Look at what's happening. They have given that coronavirus they've given it its magic, their magic. Mm-hmm. They've given it their magic through their intention, and they've made this corona just grow to unprecedented proportions. Yeah, and that's what magic is. It's just giving something your energy. You don't need a magic wand like Harry Potter. You don't need to fly. You just need to think of it. And so, you know what I mean? And that's why, and they knew that. And that's where the placebo, you guys know what the placebo is.
Yeah.
The placebo effect, I mean, it works over 60% of the time. So they knew creating this corona that they're going to be able to utilize the placebo effect. Whether or not it's real, it doesn't matter, because now everybody thinking about it is making it real.
That is interesting.
And that's magic, man.
And why is it that, I have heard people that have a pretty big voice when it comes to positivity, and have had movements or messages that are almost as if everybody was able to hear them, would be as potent as something like this pandemic, so to speak. Why don't positive ideas like that spread as wide and as far as the negative ones?
Good question. Very, very good question. It goes right back to I'll give you an answer with a question. You put that broccoli and pizza on the table, which one are you going to go for first?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to grab that. You're going to grab the pizza, dude. Most people just, they gravitate towards it. I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. That's it could be a trick question.
Right.
Why do we gravitate towards the negative? I mean, why do we die?
Yeah.
Literally go from a baby to a baby. You come out of the womb, you know nothing, and then you go into the grave knowing everything, but you're back to a baby-like state.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's really fascinating when you observe that layer of life.
Yeah, well, the negative is also a very strong force. We can't deny that,
Yeah.
And it's also being used every day by the upper echelon, if you will. Logan, you're also a nutrition expert. Can you give us are you a vegan?
No, I'm plant-based. I say plant-based. I don't eat any animals. I gave up eating I don't eat any meat, no fish, no eggs, nothing like that. So I consider myself plant-based. I don't like using the terminology vegan because I know how magic works, and there's a lot of sticky negative that goes to that vegan title, because it's just not accepted in today's society. So I just say I'm plant-based. Mm-hmm. I don't really like titles very much, because like I said, everybody gives their opinion to that title, and there's a lot of negative energy that goes to that. So, that's just knowing and understanding magic and how it works through the spoken word. But yeah, I'm plant-based, and my life's been, has gone through the roof as far as like, because I decode reality and like everything. And so everything's coming to me at such an alarming rate. And it was really a big part of when I decided not to eat animals. If you believe you are what you eat and you eat an animal, what does that make you? So I use common sense like that. And I don't judge people that do, because I have, like, my family still does. That's a personal journey. If you stand right in the middle and be neutral about it and not judge people, it works out so much better, because when you judge, man, you end up, delivering yourself some bad karma, which is not something of a good experience, So it's a personal journey.
Hey, on the lines of nutrition, could you speak a little bit on the consumption of energy drinks and how big that has gotten in the last 15 years in societies across the board, like the world?
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about like the Monster and the Red Bull and
yes,
the
all of
Rockstar
this? Yeah, it's insane, the amount of, we've always seeked energy boost, whether that be through caffeine or coffee and things like that. But in the last, I would say 15 years, because I've actually lived over in Germany where Stefano's at. I've been, to places like Iraq and all over the world, many different places. And those drinks became extremely prevalent very fast. And like everybody consumes them very nonchalantly, like it's and they're kind of sold in a healthy way, because you see things like brain stimulants and vitamins and things like that in them, and now they even have like the sugar-free ones, and people are really, it's almost like narcotics in a way.
I can answer that one. And caffeine and sugar, and your microbiome just craves it. Once you start drinking it, your microbiome craves it, and there you go. It's a cycle. It's a drug, man. It's a drug. But Logan,
well, that's a great question. To answer that, I like to bring things back to the most simplistic formats that we can observe things from, and that would be to where, when I do any kind of nutrition counseling, when I was really heavy into my nutritional days, I would always tell people, if you grab something that you're going to put in your mouth, you ask yourself, is it going to be constructive for my body or destructive? Because it's one or the other. Is it going to give me life, or is it going to take life from me? Very simple, right? And the world as a whole obviously is run by monsters. I mean, there's no other explanation for it, right? So, and it's a conglomerate. So the big companies out there, they're all in bed together, and their agenda, and this is my opinion, their agenda is to kill you, is to take you down faster. Okay. And I mean, now we're getting to the point now where maybe they're going to push mandatory vaccinations. It's a possibility, right? Right. Are you going to take it? Are you going to take it? I'm not taking it. Are you going to? You know what I mean? But I'm saying is like, but why would you do that? Because their agenda is they want to take you down. You know, I mean, if you guys study the Georgia Guidestones, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of those.
Yeah.
Okay. They were built in the 1980s outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And it's the new 10 commandments. And the first commandment is to reduce the population down to 500 million people. That means you need to get rid of over 7.5 billion people.
Wow.
How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, you do that through introducing to the world foods and beverages that are destructive. Right. And the rock stars and the Red Bulls and that stuff, they're not constructive. They're not pure water. That's like healthy water. That's constructive. You know, broccoli, carrots, those are constructive. They give you life. But the energy drinks, as Stefan said, they're addicting. They can get addicting because they give you a reward. Yep. Right? Like when you eat pizza, I'm saying pizza because it's my favorite food. When you eat pizza, it gives you a reward, right? It's like, oh my God, it tastes amazing. Like I'm a pizza connoisseur. I love going and visiting different pizza places. but it's a reward. You know, people that are addicted to chocolate, they get a reward from the sugar and the chocolate, right? When you eat it. So everything is always about risk and reward. Like, is something going to bring me down, or is it something going to bring me up? You know? And what we're doing here today, guys, is we're giving each other knowledge to enlighten ourselves, to make ourselves rise up, not bring ourselves down. Like, this is not the mainstream news trying to push, you know, hey, we're going to come take your guns and we're going to give you another mass shooting. You know, it's not destructive. It's all, this is a constructive podcast to help people understand. And that's, and you know, if you're listening to this, all you have to do with nutrition is, if you're going to eat something or drink something, ask yourself that question. Is this going to give me life, or is it going to take life from me? It's very simple.
Nice. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah. What about the ketogenic diet? How do you feel about that? It's with its popularity and growth right now.
Yeah, it works great. But I don't think it's something that someone can do long term, because you're going to get bored with it. You know, I mean, we're all creatures of habit. I mean, I would probably guarantee you guys, you know, you get up around the same time, you take a shower the same way, you use the same kind of products that you use your shower and toothpaste and foods. And we're all creatures of habit for the most part. Yeah. But we're not designed. I don't think that the human being is designed to eat that way. You know, I think that really you have to look at your life and say, how can I stay alive the longest? And then when it's my time to go, how am I going to go? Because there's really only 3 ways to die. You die from a disease or sickness. You can die from an accident, like, you know, getting hit by a car, or you can die naturally, which is just basically your body just runs out of time. You know, it's like it just gives up. Right. You know, it just the elements in the body are just not there. It doesn't sustain itself anymore. Well, that's the way I want to go. If I'm going to die, I want to die in my sleep. Yeah. Right. Peacefully, no cancer, no disease, no nothing. I want to die in my sleep. And that would mean that my body's just the time's out, the time's up. You know what I mean? And that would be to, how can I stay alive that long and then live out a very constructive life when you get to those ages? Because the natural age of the lifespan is only 79 and 80, I think, which is very low. Yeah. Really, if you think about it.
Is there a possibility of reversing and the effects of a hard life and rejuvenating?
Oh, good question.
To a certain
great
point?
question. Yeah, great question. Absolutely, because each and every day your body's always rejuvenating itself. I mean, your skin always flakes off. Everything is cyclical. So your skin, everything's being regenerated on the inside. So absolutely. So even if you're someone who was a former addict and you put a lot of toxins in your body, most definitely you can go back to a clean lifestyle and live a long, healthy life. But you got to give your body the raw materials to do that. And most people do not. Your body needs about 90 nutrients every single day, between your vitamins, your minerals, your omegas. Most people don't even get half of that every day. And it's, you know, there's a lot of reasons. The soil's depleted, so the vegetables and fruits that we eat, they don't have as much nutrients in them anymore. So it's a good idea to supplement. You know, like I take a green powder, you know, every single day. I like right now I'm taking mega doses of vitamin C because I want to keep my immune system up, just to make sure that when I go out into public, because I'm not in prison and completely right now, you know. So I'm going out there and I don't buy into the whole wear the mask bullshit right now, you know, unless I'm forced to. I don't buy into that. You know what I mean? So, but I do pay attention to my health, and you're not going to get sick if your immune system is really high. Chances are very unlikely for that to happen. But if you're toxified, you know, if you're someone who was an addict and you didn't detox and you got a bunch of drugs floating around in your body that never came out because you just never did the detox, well then, your risk it goes up much higher. So you definitely can regenerate, though, to answer your question, for sure. You just got to do the necessary steps. So detoxification is extremely important, staying away from the destructive foods and giving yourself as much life force as you can through the alive foods, which are mostly plants and, you know, fruits and vegetables. Those are alive, you know. Those are alive foods.
How long have you thought like this? Like, was this something at a very young age, or was this something you developed over time? Like, how did you deprogram yourself and then program yourself to be where you're at right now?
Good question. I pretty much grew up eating, the American way: hot dogs, hamburgers, spaghetti,
Yeah.
that kind of food. But I didn't eat a lot. I was always a naturally skinny kid. I had a fast metabolism. I
Mhm.
didn't really need to eat a lot. And then I went through my phases. Pizza's always been my favorite food, so that's my reward. Like when I want to eat a reward, I eat that. But it wasn't probably until I got into my mid 20s is really when I started to take nutrition under my wing, and really I felt compelled to move towards that. So
Mm.
I started working out when I was 16, actually. Like my dad had weights in the cellar, brought them up. I had this big mirror in my room, and I'd started curling. And that's kind of where my lifting career took off. I was a gym rat for a long time. When I went in the military, when I was 19, and I started working out in the gym there, and I've been working out ever since. So
Cool.
probably when I was 19 is when I really started to, move into that realm, that space of eating good and taking care of my body, and But I really, when I went through Cornell and I studied the nutrition, I realized that I wasn't really eating as good as I thought I was,
Mm.
because I was still eating meat at the time, and I was like, oh, well, if I just eat white chicken, that's better than red meat and pork, and I didn't realize, it's just the natural evolution, the steps of that. But it was really probably about, I'm 47 now, so I would probably say around 30 is when I really started to come into my true form
Mm.
and realize that I needed to start really reformulating everything with my nutrition.
And
So
the
I've been a nutritionist for a long time, going back to probably my 20s, but really in my 30s is when my nutrition career started to take off, and then I really got heavily focused on it.
and
What
then
about your
Mhm.
state of mind? When did you start thinking positive and visualization work and all that stuff? When did
Yeah,
that
great
kick off?
question. Yeah, great question. Well, I had a major event happen in my life. I got involved I was living in the San Francisco area, and I got involved in real estate. I moved there to open up a Gold's Gym. I opened up a Gold's Gym with a friend of mine. I was all into health and wellness. And then I got had to disembark from that journey, and I met a real estate guy through a friend, and I got involved in real estate. And the years went on, and I started getting more affiliated with the guy. And in 2008, there was 7 of us that got federally indicted for real estate. It was called real estate fraud is what it was. But there's a lot more moving parts to it than meets the eye. But nonetheless, there was a lot of people in the real estate industry that were doing exactly what we were doing. I'm not going to go into specifics, but
Mm.
nonetheless, we all got indicted, and I had to go into federal prison for 2 years. I went in, I served 18 months. And when I went into federal prison back in 2011, my life completely changed for the better. Going into prison was the greatest experience of my life. It was the gem that I needed to transform my life. So when I went in, I was still eating good. I was working out. I was really, really healthy. And then when I went in, I started to do my personal development. All I could really do when I was in prison was read books. So for 1 year, I read over 100 books. I learned how to meditate. I taught myself how to meditate. I was doing my mirror work that I mentioned earlier in this podcast.
Mhm.
And I would literally sit in my cell, and I had this mirror attached to my bunk bed, and I would look at it, and I would do my mirror work. I would do my affirmations, and I started to do my transformation in there. And then I got shipped to another facility. It was called a federal camp, where there's no cells anymore. But then I started to teach some guy. I started having a class in there, and I started to teach people how to do personal development. And I just consumed everything I could. I read so many books on personal development, from Joseph Murphy to Master Key System. That's the one book I'd recommend to all your readers. It's called The Master Key System. I've read that book 20 times and counting, right? There's always something new in that book. It's the most amazing book. Obviously Think and Grow Rich is a really classic book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good books. So I really started to develop myself in 2011. And then when I got out, my life just took off like a rocket. I became the best person ever, the best version of me. And here I am now in 2020, doing my thing with the metaphysical. Yeah.
Wow, man.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. Give us a tip on how we could stay healthy. I watched a video of yours where you made like a soul drink.
Soleil.
Yeah, Soleil with Himalayan salt. Can you tell us how you did that? And isn't it too much salt?
Well, here's the thing. When you're living a life of constructiveness, okay, so that means you're not really consuming the bad salt. Because, I don't know what you guys' age are. I mean, I'm 47, so I grew up in an age where, like salt was bad. Like, don't put salt. They had this no salt stuff back in the, back in the day in the 80s and all that. It was a period of don't have any salt. Well, your body needs salt to some degree, but only the good salt. Okay, so if you're living a clean lifestyle and you're eating really healthy, that means you're not eating a lot of the bad junky salt in the processed foods and the canned goods and the packaged stuff. None of that stuff. If you're eating more plant-based, well, then your salt intake is very low. Well, Himalayan salt is filled with a lot of the minerals that your body needs every day. I told you there's 90 nutrients that your body needs. Well, it needs a ton of minerals from selenium and copper and boron and magnesium and all these elements. Your body needs those every day. And if you're not getting those, as I told you, most people don't, well, then you can't give it the raw materials to regenerate in a proper mannerism, So the Soleil is designed where you take pink salt and you put it in water, and every single day you wake up, you just take one little tablespoon of it. It's about 400 or 500 milligrams of salt. Well, the recommended daily allowance is about 2,500. Okay. So you're getting 1/5 of that, right? And it gives you over 80 of the minerals that your body needs on a day-to-day basis.
Wow.
So as long as you're staying healthy and you're taking the minerals, then you're going to be doing yourself some good. Of course, you want to be drinking as clean as water as you can. You want to be taking in at least 96 ounces of water every day, which is just 3 liters. That's the minimum, to make sure you flush. Because I would say we're made up of over 80% of water. And most people I know, they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys, if you go out in the world, you can see them from a mile away. Skin issues, overweight. They're dehydrated. Most people don't drink enough water. I have a friend who was the top weight loss doctor in Beverly Hills. He had mega list of celebrity clients, and he would never tell me his secret until he retired. And his secret was water. I mean, that's his secret was just his clients come in, they want to reduce their weight. Well, how much water are you drinking? And they're never drinking enough. Like I was like shocked at some of these people, how much they like maybe a few 16-ounce bottles a day, and that's it.
Right.
That's nothing.
You have to flush all those toxins out, right? And if you don't, you save it in the fat tissue. That's why you gain weight.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
Which is why you got to detox. You got to get rid of the fat, because the fat will just trickle out the toxins, and you'll be sick all the time. And you'll just be like, oh, I can't get better.
Yeah.
I can't get better. I can't get better. And you'll find other crutches to make yourself feel better. And usually it's through the programming aspect of feeding the body the junky foods, the destructive foods. Yeah. So get yourself a good Soleil, which is just pink Himalayan salt and water. Get yourself a good green powder, to take that every day. I like a product called Green Vibrance. I don't make any money from them. I like their product called Green Vibrance. And take those every day above and beyond the food that you eat. And, you should be good to go. Also take flaxseed oil, the raw oil, because that's your omega-3. Most people are not efficient in omega-3. They're deficient in omega-3. High omega-6 and 9s, but low omega-3s. So your cholesterol is all going to be jacked up. I just had my blood panel done, dude. My total cholesterol 155.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what those numbers mean. I get yelled at by the VA doctors all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I was in the
Army.
Army.
If you need help, man, just let me know. I got you guys covered.
Man, I appreciate that.
Just hit me up. I'll give you everything I do. I mean, there's really nothing. I can't point you in the right direction. I mean, if I don't have the answers, I'll give you a documentary to watch. What the Health is a good documentary. If you haven't seen that one, check that one out. It's a great one. The China study which is Forks Over Knives, another amazing documentary. This is food for the brain to reprogram and restructure the brain. So anybody that comes into my program, I have a detox, 22-day detox. Part of that is watching documentaries while you're going through the detox, because you need to be in sync with everything to detox, not just drinking the juice and doing the smoothies. You need to be watching the stuff to fill your brain to coincide with your physical, right?
With the why, right? You got to understand why. Like, I would think, like, for me, it's like a motivational thing. Like, okay, like those moments when you're like, why the hell am I doing this to myself? And then you have that reinforcement with the information that you're taking in, as far as, you know, what is actually in some of the stuff that we consume on a regular basis. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, people don't even, you drink Gatorade, man. There's, you know, red number 40 and blue number this and yellow number that. I mean, why is that in there? You know, and what is it doing? It's a toxin. And, you know, hey, a little bit of bleach every day won't kill you, but over the long haul, it'll destroy your gut, you know? So you got to just take these things and use common sense, and go back to the basics. That's what I do. When I do any kind of nutrition counseling, it's always go back to the basics, you know, got to go back to the basics.
Yeah,
so
it kind of lines up. I can see now the bigger picture after kind of talking with you for a while of why the metaphysics, the numerology, and the nutrition are all in tune, because it's about balance, right? Life is all mathematics and timing. So when you too much of anything is a bad thing. I always tell my kids that balance, that symmetry is what life is about. So it makes perfect sense why you're able to take one thing and apply it to all three of those things in a truly in an inspiring way. Logan, why are you? When I've searched you out based on the Killer Priest podcast that you were on, you need to be on a bigger platform, man. Like the message.
I'm saying the same thing.
Wow, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man. It's a work in progress. Well, I mean, you know, it's a work in progress. I'm really, my main thing now is decoding reality through through numerology and through a lot of the other platforms. I'm not sure if you saw my channel on Decode Your Reality, but some heavy deep stuff, you know, that I'm involved in right now. I feel it, you know, and I know who I am and why I'm here. Right. And so it's part of my destiny to do this, to give this to the world. And there's no monetary value in that. I get, you know, I earn through doing readings for people and stuff, but really my whole thing besides decoding reality is to go on the road and do seminars and teach people how to decode themselves. And of course, nutrition is a piece of that, because as you said, they're in bed together. They're all in bed together, and you got to observe it from different angles to get those vantage points to see those blind spots that you never saw before, you know? So it's a work in progress, man, getting on that bigger platform. Right now, you know, we're stuck indoors in a major way, which is all good. You just utilize your time wisely, which is what we're doing now.
Yeah, and you have one thing I have noticed is you have a captive audience, because you know people are looking for those endorphins to be released by the social media machine, right? And if you can get the right messaging in front of them, it could truly be amazing, you know. And just you know, like, just what I've learned just sitting here for this short little bit of time, man, makes me want to really seek out and dig into this much deeper.
Awesome. What's your birthday? Just before we end this.
The 21st of November, 1977.
21st of November. Okay, so the word love in numerology equals 21. Okay. So your birthday is associated with that word, you know?
Nice.
So, and I won't give you much. I won't give anything above that, because that's very powerful right there. Like, so I already know just based on that you live from a life of love.
Love is all we need.
And people may not even see that, but I know that to be true because of your 21. You know what I mean? That's just the way you roll. Part of your destiny. How about you, Stefan? What's your birthday?
The 30th of September, 1984.
30, okay. 3 is linked up to pi, 3.1415, the never-ending digits. Well, on the masculine side of the decimal, it's 3. It starts off with the number 3, right? So 30 is attached to that aspect right there, which is very, very powerful. People that are number 30s are extremely gifted with creativity. Like you use your mind a lot. Like you're in your head a lot more than the average bear.
Yo, that's true, man.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and and when you observe the 30, you have the 3 that's very creative, but you get the 0, and that's pi. So you have 2 pies literally side by side, kind of tugging it out. But that just means that you're just so in tune with the universe. And if you tap into your creative nature and figure out who you are and why you're here, you'll be able to make that 30 take off like a rocket and like really make a serious impact in this world.
Right.
Plus, I mean, you're a 21, so you're a 3 as well. You feed the 3. So you guys are both 3s in a sense.
2 and 1.
Wow, 2 and 1. Damn, I never thought of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing. The great thing about the 21, if you go look at Domino's Pizza, their logo, the Domino is a 2 and 1.
Yo, you and pizza, man.
Oh, I know.
Nice.
But there's a very good reason why they chose that number 21. You know, it's tied to the planet Saturn as well. Saturn is kind of the maker and taker of everything in astrology. It's very powerful energy. He runs the throat chakra and the third eye in some sense. So there's a lot of significance to that. Yeah. Your spirit animal is the owl in the Native American tradition. I don't remember what the third. Hold on, I'll tell you what the 30 is. Because you're the rabbit, Stefan. Your card's rabbit. And if you know anything about magic, the magician pulls the rabbit out of the hat.
Yep.
Rabbit signifies an Easter, the Passover, which is new beginnings. You know, so it's kind of in a God sense. And the owl is all about protection and nurturing, you know, their young. So super powerful symbol, the owl, the 21.
Nice.
So you can observe these layers, guys, and really understand why you're here, man, and just have your life freaking take off like a rocket. And you guys deserve that. So I'm not just telling you guys, you deserve to have that. You know, like one of my favorite mentors, Bob Proctor, he said, prosperity and abundance, that's your birthright.
Wow.
It's your birthright. It's not just like something, it's your birthright, you know, but most people, they go, like I said, instead of committing suicide, they go to work. They're not living out their prosperity and abundance. They're not doing it.
Yeah,
so
man.
Gotta, you know, if you really want to do that, you got to seek it out. You got to knock on the door and then it'll show up for you.
Yeah.
Yep, all across America, there's a bunch of really talented people that plug in forklifts every day.
That's true.
Yeah, man.
So let's end on that note. Logan, thank you for coming by. Thank you for joining. You can come on whenever you want to. Feel welcome. You know, we'll stay in contact, I guess.
I appreciate
it. Danny, man, thanks for joining.
Hey, man, I appreciate being invited to the journey. And Logan, that's exactly what that was, my brother. In a journey to like an enlightening path, man, that I think you might have just set me upon. So I really appreciate that, man.
My pleasure, man. It's been an honor, guys.
Before we go, Logan, can you give the people your handles like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? Do you have anything?
Yeah, man. I'm on Facebook all the time. It's under Logan Piette, Piette, like Piette, like the letter, like pie. And then my YouTube is Decode Your Reality. Yep, Decode Your Reality on YouTube. Yeah, awesome. Man. I'm on Instagram, but I don't use it that much because I'm all into the videos, and you know the Instagram's a little behind on that. So YouTube and Facebook are my 2 major ones. Yeah.
All right, Logan. Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome, guys. It's been an honor. Thanks so much, man. Until next time.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.